Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Corenet Global Brazil webinar session. My name is Renato Fusaro, and I'm the VP of Corenet in Brazil. Just to remind all, today the webinar will be in English due to our speaker. So if it is your first time with Corenet Global, I just would like to introduce you to our association. Corenet Global is a no-profit corporate real estate association with executives in 48 countries who manage the real estate assets of large corporations. Corenet has presence in Brazil for the last 15 years and is the chapter with most events per year. You can follow us in the social media. You can see on the screen here the social media. And also we are doing a lot of events with our sponsors in the country. Is the time to talk about the summit. Also, we have the summits in the regions. The next one in Americas will be in Chicago, November 1st to November 3rd. And the main subject is how do CRE, real corporate real estate, HR, and IT continue to work together and better. So this is why put together. And a lot of great contents and networking opportunities with more than 3,000 participants in average in most of the webinars. And also in the summit. So it'd be great to be there. And you can connect with the Brazilians that will be there. We have a team of Brazilians that will be in the summit. It will be very, very fun. So we are back to the normal. We are keeping the face-to-face meetings, the events, and the webinars. So we are bringing international speakers to share great content. And we have webinars scheduled until November, so stay tuned. Next webinar will be about a very interesting concept. So we are talking about the elastic building. Can you put the next slide, Maira? So yeah, my friend Daniel from Hassel Consulting, he will talk about the elastic building. And a very interesting concept because of all the changes that are coming from the workplace because of the pandemic. Daniel will talk about the landlord side, okay, the owner side, the investor side. So it will be fun is to talk about the other side and the tenants, that the side that will have a much more discussion here. So the next slide is just to present. And today I have the pleasure to have Luis Perez from the Instant Group to talk about workplace strategy. So basically, the Instant Group has been thinking the workspace since 1999, if I remember. It's a global team that advises on commercial real estate solutions, from serviced offices to fully customized managed offices, and have a lot of plenty of good content from consulting services for portfolio and net zero strategy. So by the way, Luis, I see your content every single day on LinkedIn and have a good content, good things that you guys put on LinkedIn and other social media. So first of all, welcome virtually to Brazil and welcome to our webinar. So the space is yours.
Thank you, Renato, very much. It's a pleasure to be with you. I always enjoy to participate in Corenet webinars. It's so professional and it's always great audience. So pleasure to be here. Good. So thank you for the audience to be here. I appreciate also that you are open to listen to this in English. My apologies that my Portuguese is not where it should be, but here we are. So thank you for that. Should I share my screen, Renato, now or?
Oh, yes, please, Maira, can you?
Okay,
Okay.
perfect. I can see it now. Very cool. So thank you guys again. Thank you, Renato, and the Corenet Brazilian chapter for the invitation to share this with you, some insight that we have captured to, up to this point in this post-pandemic era. And I'm glad to say it, post-pandemic, during so much time, we have said that, oh, we are out of it or not yet. I think we can finally start to see, that this is behind us and we are thinking now in a different way. So as you heard, my name is Luis Perez and I lead the Instant Group in Latin America. I'm based out of Miami. However, I have coverage in all the countries of the region. You might have heard about us, about the Instant Group before, But if not, let me go to the next slide so you can learn a little bit more about us. So the Instant Group is a real estate solutions company. We are exclusively representing clients that are looking for flexibility and agility in their portfolios, global portfolios. As our motto says, that you can see in the very first line of this slide, we free business to move forward faster. This is the reflex of our obsession of allowing clients to focus in their core business. If a company is a construction company, we don't want them to focus on office, operation and maintenance, or it's a pharmaceutical company. They need to, busy doing medication and vaccines, not real estate, exactly. This company, allowing them to focus on their core business while allowing experts like us in advise and transform their portfolio into a modern and flexible one. So sounds to us, in Instant, that even though we were founded 20 plus years ago, we were built for times like this. More than ever, we feel that we find our place in the corporate world because of the situation that all of us, and I'm sure most of you, are living in your day-to-day, with the challenges with your offices, with your workplace strategy, with your portfolio, excess of space, or shortage of space, or more commuting times, or you don't want employees do not want to come back to your office. Things like that is exactly what we do. Three pillars that we focus. First, we advise. And how can we advise is because we receive about 120,000 plus office space requirements per year globally. This goes from the little, one co-working space or the virtual office up to the most, complex solutions sometimes in call centers or operation centers, shared service centers, things like that. This data of 120,000 requirements generates a lot of information that, combined with our market independence, because we do not represent any real estate provider or landlord or anything like that, generates a strong expertise to recommend to our clients how to deal with their workspace, with the challenges they have with their offices anywhere in the world. Then we also solve, so we go full spectrum, for the simplest, which is a virtual office, a legal address, up to a co-working, membership, down to the most complex, like a full custom solution anywhere in the world. And then we deliver. Our solutions proposition wouldn't be nothing without flawless execution. And we have proven record of delivery on time, schedule, and budget, regardless of the client requirement, almost anywhere in the world. So if any of these resonates, please feel free to reach out and let's talk. In the first slide, you had my LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out there. Now going into more important matters. So this is let me switch here. This is a very brief agenda. Just going through very basic bullets of what are we going to be covering. First of all, the return to office. What are companies doing? What are other companies are implementing to this point? New office layouts and designs. What are the important elements of the new office layouts and designs? Then a little bit, I will touch very briefly on the global context. What is going on in other parts of the world? How are the trends behaving? And I have a very interesting chart for you guys in South. It's Brazil wide. How the trend of office space is behaving from the pandemic up to this point. A bit of the predictions and the closeout and conclusion. So I have about 10 slides. I appreciate if you bear with me. And I promise to leave some time for Q&A at the very end. So there is some fact versus fiction that we need to talk now. So what is the truth about the future of the office at this stage? First of all, I ask you please to focus on the left side, which is some statements that companies have or individuals from the companies think that are the truth. Business is the first one. Businesses have already made major changes to their strategy and portfolio. And I'm telling you this because companies are running around like chicken without heads, thinking that they are behind, a solution. The fact is that just about 35%, looking to the right, only about 35% of the businesses have made significant changes or some type of change to date. And some of those changes are not guaranteed that are going to be working. At this point, everything is trial and error. What is this going to work? Do we know if this is going to work? We don't know yet. The companies are testing, evaluating, and quickly adapting into that. Second one, talent will decide what happens next. And I think this is something that we have heard in plenty of webinars, that talent is going to win the battle. Just about interesting piece of data, just about 9% of companies have decided to give employees total control of how and where they are going to work. To be honest, this was surprising for me in the research, particularly because it was my understanding, and I thought that a larger percentage of employees would be empowered to decide where and how to work. Nevertheless, this number is under 10%, and basically still the decision making comes from the company about when are you going to be back, how are you going to be back, how is your new office going to be, right? So that gets in conflict with talent, because if we have a talented employee, he's going to probably, he or she is going to decide, oh, I might go in different direction. Okay. Moving on, employees will only come for specific meetings or events. This is interesting. 30% say they don't want to come to the office anymore, ever. 60% say they want a hybrid arrangement, and only 10% prefer to work fully on site. But if we add up the 60 plus the 10, we're talking about 70% still looking to go into an office. They want to go into an office, which is something that might conflict a bit with what we are listening into the market, that people is super happy working from home or remotely. The reality is that a lot of people still need, probably because of collaboration, productivity, or personal needs or whatever, they still want to go back to the office. We know that company culture, and this has been proven, company culture is built around informal collaboration in the office space. The water cooler chat, the pre or post meeting chat, the hallway encounters. And with the absence of an office, for instance, that 30% that do not want to go to the office anymore, without any mandate or something like that, companies will be missing a great opportunity to build around company culture. Okay. So the majority of employees are still using, private space more than any. Okay, I'm focusing on the last one. So the office space will be about collaboration. So the majority of employees are still using private space more than any other, and open plan spaces are only becoming more unpopular. So open desking is proven to be highly unpopular, and when you ask an employee, they like it? Not really. They are undecided and they prefer like their own privacy. However, if the objective of an office is the collaboration, none of this is accomplished. Nobody is gonna accomplish collaboration in an office, which is probably the most important objective of a workspace, if they are behind doors, in personal private offices. So we have a clear disconnect between what companies want, what employees want, and what actually works, or what has been proven to work. Okay, so let's talk about that.
Just a question, Luis, that arises here. Sometimes I receive questions for WhatsApp,
okay.
So try to make the conversation more friendly. So we are listening a lot of news from co-working companies here that say, oh, it's growing. We are growing 80%, 75%, because companies are looking for more flexibility and everything. Do you believe that this is really true, or this will be like just now, and after that we'll come back to a
100%
office occupancy for the companies?
Yes, that is true. I have a slide about that. So let's pause this answer for a second. I'll show you that information. Okay. Good. So let me go to the next one. So we are in this, with this, I would say, global crisis that we went through, there has driven a fundamental change of how we work. What is the purpose of the office? We are questioning finally ourselves, what is the real purpose of an office compared to simply the simple fact of, oh, there is an office and I gotta go to work into that space. So the reality is that nobody can negate that this crisis has changed the way we work forever. And everywhere we are listening, the hybrid way of work, and hybrid became now the word in our industry, in the human resources department, even the employees. I want to go hybrid, only come twice a week or something like that. And people wrongly think that it's only a combination of two things, remote, which people encapsulate work from home, plus office space. So I will come to the office only Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and I work from home Monday and Friday. And that might be a couple of elements of it, the work from home and the office. However, there are other elements that in fact are the important ones, and are at a higher level of simply the office or simply the home for this. So it has been demonstrated in research, social research, that successful deployments of hybrid models prior and post-pandemic, that the only way to accomplish success in those hybrid models, if 4 elements of the modern workplace are appropriately combined and balanced. If one of them is dominating to the other, then it's not going to be successful. So there is certain percentage that might not be perfect for some companies, might be different to others, or some individuals might be different. But the right balance of these 4 elements that you see on the screen is what is going to dictate the success of your hybrid strategy. So humans, so we're dealing with people, everyone is different. We're not robots, we are diverse. Everyone has a particular familiar situation, personal preferences. I live far from the office, it's commuting, I don't have a car, so every person is different. Obviously, it would be impossible to have the type of office space that works for 100% of your population. However, the human element of it and trying to cover most of what the human element is an important element. The second one is physical. So the workspace as such. So how the space is built. Does it provide the privacy combined with the collaboration that I need or that the company needs? Does it promote productivity? If I go to an office that is for me, it's impossible to concentrate, or I don't have the tools or the elements that I need to be productive, then the office is not accomplishing its objective, right? Is it flexible enough, etc.? Then digital. Well, digital, I would say technology is within us. It grew in the last couple of years more than ever in our workspace. For instance, I'll put an example here. So hybrid models can be thought without considering that meetings, formal meetings in a meeting room, will forever have people from now on present in the meeting room, physically present, and some others that will be remote, and they don't have any obligation probably to be in the meeting room for their own particular reasons. Can be health, can be distance, can be whatever. So technology plays definitely a key element in this. Now, cloud and enhanced IT security is driving this. Now we can be remotely accessing resources from our companies. I think most of you remember the good old days in which to access the network, the network resources of our company, we needed to be in the office, connected through a cable to access the local servers. Well, we know that is, old school already. Nobody does that anymore. So digital and technology, a key element. And finally, sustainable. So now more than ever, there is individual and company consciousness about sustainability and social responsibility. So most companies nowadays have this sustainability objectives, the zero carbon footprint by X year or things like that. And real estate is becoming one of the big players in that strategy. So, commuting, where do you locate an office? Do you have several small offices, or you have one central office far from everyone, or downtown compared to the suburbs where the people live. Travel, recycling, construction materials, if your building is LEED certified or not, energy consumption, things like that. So those are key elements that might not be a election from the employee, but are part of your corporate strategy around the election of your decisions on real estate. Okay. So let me go to the next one, which is what is
just
being
a comment, Luis, about this. So I give you an example from some markets with high vacancy rate, like Mexico City.
Yep.
Like 26% of vacancies. There's experimented now some. You can see some companies looking for buildings with more amenities and transportation close to them, not only because it's to attract the employees, but also because of the sustainability, right? That you can reduce all the carbon footprint and all the things that in the past real estate never looked for that, right?
It was not important before, Renato. Probably was a secondary element in the selection matrix. Now it's at the top. How are we gonna? For instance, now in all the co-working industry or the service office industry, parking spots are not included, and you can buy them. Yeah, you can rent them per month, but the expectation is that you are gonna use some kind of alternate way of transportation. Either go bicycle or public transportation or shared service or something like that will take you to the office space.
Yeah, and you can see some co-working companies change the strategic approach. So in the past, most of them was in the CBD areas, try to attract big companies to be there. We can see here in Brazil some of the co-workings getting space in the close to the residential areas, looking for the people that go there like a satellite office or something like that, like reduce the commuting time and have a flexible option to go to work in an office space to be connected. But outside of the CBD area, I think this also was a change focus in the sustainability, right?
That's correct. Offering alternatives of workspace, Renato, around the close to where you live is one of the strategies that some companies are following and has been successful. You have to say it. For many of them, is working well. Okay. Pretty cool. So what is being done differently in CRE in a post-pandemic? So we kind of organize this in different ways. In this slide, please bear with me. So we organize from the high cost to the lower cost of things that companies are doing, different companies. And this is what we are seeing with our clients at global level, right? So let me start with, let me get back for a second on this. So I think most of you from the audience have challenges from your CEOs or your leadership. How do we do an effective and successful return to the office? How can we bring back everyone, or most of the people at least, into the workspace? How can the office be attractive again? And this is a question that we receive every day at Instant. We have information of some things that are being done differently and some others that are remaining to the same, which might change or evolve in the near future. And we also group this in a cost scale. That is what you see on the left side. So let's start with the higher cost. So what are some companies doing from the higher cost perspective to bring people back and make people feel at home? So concierge services, something that it's very high cost in the spectrum, which is pamper your employees, increase your support staff ratio. 25 people for every one support or staff of support or something like that. A la carte food and beverages, free food, things like that is one of the immediate strategies that have to say that in some companies are working, in some others are not, right? So it depends, right? The second one is the office redesign, or it could be from the full overhaul of your office or simple touches. However, the objective is the same space, utilize is your space with optimization while providing space according to employees' behaviors. I don't know if you have I don't want to mention brands, but there is a video circulating in social media about a company that is headquartered in California, in Silicon Valley area, that just launched their new headquarters that they built or designed and built during the pandemic. They are proud to say that they have about 75 different kinds of seating space. So you could sit in 75 different type of chairs, or sofas or couches or hammocks, or you name it. It's crazy. In the old days, we only had, the chair was mostly the same in your desk or in the meeting room and in the cafeteria. That's it. Now you have 75 options, in that office. So that's another strategy that some companies are doing. However, extremely expensive. It's trial and error. You don't know if that investment is gonna pay back. Is that gonna bring people back to the office? We don't know yet. Okay. There is artificial intelligence tools. This is more going towards the low cost. The desk, understanding the desk usage, installing beacons in the office to know if people is coming to the office or not, monitor the use of space, number of users connected to Wi-Fi, network usage, etc. And then finally, and I will pause for a second because I know there's a question there, CRE or corporate real estate is adjusting the staff support skill set into customer client experience profiles. So now our facilities personnel has that skill set, or has to have that skill set of a client experience or employee experience in order to provide a better quality of service at the office. So it's more like make people feel at home. Okay. I will pause here, Renato. I think there's a question there.
Yeah, we have a question for Ricardo Piotini. If I remember, Ricardo come from General Motors. We work together in General Motors. Thank you to join us, Ricardo. So basically, it's the metaverse. A lot of people talk about this one, like how I could create an avatar and go enter in my office in a virtual way. I think this probably will come in the future, maybe, but not now. I think this is coming more. We need more, let's say, research about that to understand if it works well. I will love Luis to have in my glasses. I just put my glasses in and be in the office space. It would be great. I can work from my home very easily. But I don't know if this will be true soon. Probably will take years and years to have this one. What do you think about that?
I think that human interaction will be never replaced. Metaverse might be fantastic, but human interaction. And let me put an example of this. Obviously, it's not metaverse, but when we were in the middle of the pandemic, we started organizing the Zoom parties, right? Everyone with friends and family and your high school friends, the Zoom parties. That thing became old very quickly. After 3 or 4 of those, you got tired of it. You didn't want to do that anymore. It's not fun. The humor does not go through the Zoom call. You need the human interaction to build, society, to build culture, to build corporate culture. That is what identifies a company or differentiates a company from another, right? If I am, let's say, a software developer, and I work for, let's say, Facebook, now that you're talking the metaverse. So if I work for Facebook and I work from home and I don't interact with anyone, it's exactly the same for me to work for Facebook or work for Netflix. Let's say I'm a software developer, but given that I never got that human interaction, that corporate culture, it doesn't matter where I work. So the battle of talent is critical in this thing. You want to preserve it. You want to kind of insert the chip of your corporate culture into the employees. And that is going to be only achieved with that, coming back into the space. It doesn't need to be every day, 8 to 5. It's a different style now. It's never going to be like it was before, but in the new way of work. Okay, that's what I would say.
Yeah, that's great. Maida, can you come back to the presentation? Thank you.
So now focusing on the right side, this is a chart from Harvard Business Review that was, and this is a global chart. So it's very, the numbers are probably in some markets will be more dramatic, right? But what things are staying the same? So looking to the reduction of office space and retail space. So these are the two industries that in terms of physical space are going down. And the one that is mostly going down is office space, right? Then retail, which obviously has received a big impact in a post-pandemic or a post-pandemic era. While everything on the right is now going into manufacturing, storage, and logistics is in the rise. I'm sure there's people here in the audience from these industries, and you are getting crazy trying to find space for logistics. It's up to the roof. Where can I find a storage space? Where can I store my goods? Logistics, all the ports, things like that. It became a crazy industry as a consequence of the situation.
Yeah, I give an example for São Paulo, for instance, like the office vacancy rate is 24%.
Yeah.
But the warehouses are
Yeah.
3%, so it's a lot of growth in the warehouse. Most of them come from the e-commerce that go
Exactly, e-commerce.
Most we can.
Yeah. So I think what this tells me is that there is going to be kind of like a reset in our industry, and at some point we're going to reach some kind of normalcy in which obviously it's not sustainable. That high demand of storage or space or logistics space, and we're not going to keep going down in office space. At some point we're going to reach balance in these two. Okay. So and this is probably answering your initial question, Renato. So there are different strategies major companies are following with their personnel. Some of them might have come to stay. Just time will tell us. So let's start from the left to the right. So the gray box, people, new work styles, and persons. So this is the old normal. And the chart, I apologize because it's a little extreme. We were not like that 2 years ago. However, it's just to depict a bit of the situation. Many companies prior to the pandemic were already highly flexible in the way they work. Yeah, particularly tech companies. Yeah, exactly.
Taking consideration that people not go to the office every day, and even that the occupancy was 60%, right?
Yes, exactly.
Before pandemic, right?
But that was very particular for some industries. Now the change is coming across the board, even for the more traditional ones, right? So if you go to the right in the top left corner, so we have the hub. So what is the hub? This is pretty much like what most enterprise is doing as a quick solution. So you keep your central office. However, you allow your employees to become flexible, work from home or work from Starbucks or work wherever you want and come to the office twice a week or something like that. So that is the hub. You come to this hub a certain number of days a week or a month. Then you go to the ROM, which is the bottom left corner. So employees have different alternatives of workspace. One small quote unquote headquarters central office, where probably the administrative personnel sits, accounting, the finance, all the this more traditional roles work. And then you have small hubs, and this is what we were talking about, Renato, which is going into the suburbs, where companies rent a little co-working space with 6 desks or something like that, or only a membership. You can have a membership, like an all-access card from WeWork or something like that, where you can go to the space, work 3 hours and then go back home. You don't need to commute down to downtown or the financial district. So that is the role.
Yeah, I listened for a company that say instead you have one headquarter with 10 floors, have one floor in 10 different buildings or something like that.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly right. Exactly right. Then we have the club, which is co-working space on demand. So basically, this is providing memberships to all your employees, and especially for the large operators or the large suppliers of co-working space, this is becoming a hit. So, for instance, WeWork or Reduce with Spaces, they can have a membership and they can show up into the space and work from anywhere they are, even not only in the country, they can go to other countries and do the same. So that is what we call the club. And then the most extreme one is full work from home. Not we don't have an office, and then you decide where you're gonna work. So this shows good variety and choice that employees can have. However, as we mentioned before, it is not always up to the employee to decide. Companies are the ones making the call on how the employee should work. So let's look into that conflict in the next slide.
Yeah, this is something that we discussed in previous webinar. That was one of the problems is not the employees, but how the leadership deal with this hybrid space. If they are prepared to deal with this distance, some old-fashioned leaders would like to have your people in the old normal.
Yeah.
Instead, the personas are different.
Yes.
And but let's say the new leadership must be prepared for this kind of a hybrid work and motivate the people face to face or in a virtual way. This
exactly
is one of the problems, right?
Okay. So look into this conflict. There is in winter 2021, so very recently, Gensler did a very interesting workplace survey to employees. What is your current environment versus your ideal environment? And look into the profound differences in the slide. There is a clear disconnection between employee and employer, right? So I see very small letters here. Let me zoom in a bit to tell you the exact names. So totally open right at the very top. So that is what the current work environment is, while the employee only wants about 11%. So 20 versus 11. What is more important to show is the ones at the bottom. So the 32 that you see on the bottom left versus the 52 on the bottom right. So that is the shared private space. So they are the 32% right now, or what they have, versus the 52, what would be their ideal. So there is a clear disconnection of how employees perceive could be, happier or more productive, or how the environment at work is going to represent more the way the work they do. Okay. The reality is that there is no single source of truth. I'm not saying that employees are right or the boss is right. Companies were comfortable providing certain type of space that, according to their budgets, which is a big driver, or their understanding of their employee needs, they provided. On the other hand, employees had a different expectation or a different idea on how their workspace should be designed and operated. So,
just a question to come here, Luis, regarding this. So the fact of the companies not allow or empower the employees to decide where they work, and the leadership has this disconnection.
Yeah,
it will be decisive to decide for a new job. So I had some friends that tried to hide some talents in some companies, and just some of them just give up because it's not hybrid, or they ask me to go to the office every day and I don't want that. So do you think this will be more and more decisive to decide for a new job than just the salary, right?
Totally right. Yes, Renato. So you cannot see it on the screen. There is a glitch in the slide, but what it says on the right is that the solution is not only modifying the workspace. It's not only bringing concierge services to the space to bring people back. There is also a need of a helping hand with employees, training and technical support on what exactly, or on how the workspace helps them to be more productive? What are the benefits of the workspace? How social interaction is going to benefit you? How is that going to benefit the company and the common goal that we have? So it goes beyond, and is not only a responsibility for the employer to provide the solutions. Okay.
Yeah, much more HR be connected with that, and also understand how to train the leadership to deal with, because most of the problems sometimes when I talk about the office spaces is the leadership who want that employees come back to the office every single day. And but it was very, a lot of people understand that it's very good to work far some days and stay more connecting other days to, so must be a mix, like the hybrid work, I think works much better than just that. But sometimes the leadership is not prepared for that, I think.
Yeah, agree. Okay. So following from the prior slide about the space privacy that the employees think they need, if you ask an employee, they say, oh, I need a private office. One of the fundamental aspects of the benefit of an office is the interaction. Interaction that can be formal, and formal means a meeting that you schedule and you are in a meeting room, a presentation in the screen or something like that, or the informal interaction, which is what happens in the hallway, in the coffee, making the line for lunch, waiting for the elevator, or in the elevator. Human interactions are impossible to replicate with technology. That is what we were just talking about the Zoom parties, right? So humor does not travel through Zoom. And interactions, informal in particular, are those quick moments that employees do not realize how important are for the community construct and social healthiness of a company. And something companies must be very interested to continue pursuing and creating through adequate design and technology. So in the old school way of designing an office, you remember these floor plans that were, like a call center, just desks and one separate space that was a cafeteria, the reception, and one meeting room, and that's it. If you look into a modern workspace, you will find these places of thousands of interaction that will be provoked by the design. So 80%, according to what you are seeing on the screen, that pie chart, 80% of interaction is made in meeting rooms, open plan, and alternative workspaces. And alternative workspaces is a new concept that has been overseen for a while. An alternative workspace can be, creative seating arrangements, or can be hammocks, or can be whiteboards in the hallway, or can be, open environments, cafe environments, or simply a bench outside in the, the backyard, something like that would bring people to sit and talk and collaborate. That's what this refers to.
Yeah, I saw some companies sometimes just talking about let's reduce the number of work seats and put more meeting rooms and increase the amenity areas. Sometimes works, sometimes it's not. It's a waste of money, right?
Definitely what we see, Renato, is lack of interest in going through more or going to more desk space. So they will build, and all these new design trends is, we will build interaction and collaborative space. We will not build any more desks, because if people is going to see to do email, that is something that they can do, perfectly at home or elsewhere. If they're going to come here, it's because they are going to, talk with someone else. If they don't talk here, this is not the right place for that person.
Man, something that make me annoyed, stay very upset when I go to the office sometimes, and I see people with the phone making calls, sit there and not connect with the people. So why you not stay at home? Why you just go and stay at home? And people stay with the phone here, making calls and talking loud in the middle of the office space, just to say, hey, I'm here. So don't make any sense to do that, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Let me show you this slide, which is what happens on respect to the trend on the right side. This quadrant shows you, between collaborative and private and formal and informal, without looking into the titles of what companies are doing what. Everything is going towards collaborative space. Nobody's going into private space that is coming down. So what you see, the one that you see at the bottom in the formal private is utilities companies, the power company, the energy company, things like that. But everyone else, it's moving, or it's on this upper quadrant. Could be on the formal side or the informal side, but everyone is moving towards collaboration. Even old school, but you see technology is way up high, or test and learn, which is universities and things like that. It's going up definitely. Okay. Let me keep moving and in interest of time. So we were talking about these flexible spaces or co-working space. And what I'm showing you here is just a reflex of all the slides or all the information that we have discussed before. So how the flexible space used to be seen before. We used to find, prominent center branding, subject matter expert focused, a traditional office function, very vanilla space, nothing attractive, nothing that make me go to the office. Okay. Then if you see the nowadays space, you see this vibrancy, right? This attractiveness. You want to sit on every different chair of the office. You have these comfortable sofas and things like that, that really invite you to come and do work with your colleagues, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, this is a lot of test and learn also that I mentioned at the beginning. There is no easy and quick solution into this, and no recipe of success on this. And all of these spaces that you see here, the ones that I'm sharing on the screen right now, become old very quick. So they require a constant renovation and investment and things like that, compared to the old ones that people were used to, the old non-attractive space that would last forever. In this case, these spaces are not going to last forever. After 3-4 years, they will require a renovation.
Yeah, I just remember the first time I worked with some co-working space was 20 years ago, 25 years ago, so it's not new, but it was for an IT project that have a start and end date, and people say, hey, we don't have space in the building, let's put in a co-working location. But the co-working location was like our building because it was a room, and the people allow us to put the branding, shut down the door because of the security space for information and everything. But nowadays, when you go to co-working, it's pretty much like it's more cozy. It's like being in a home space.
Yeah, exactly. Home.
This is the idea of
home feeling
now,
space,
right? Stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. It's a home feeling space. The intention is to feel make you feel comfortable in this space. Yeah. So let me quickly go through this global context with just a couple of pieces of data and something very interesting about Brazil. So, this global pandemic definitely made a reset. And let me focus on the chart on the left. So this is Brazil, and this is the Google Trend Interest. This is the index that Google uses. And I'm comparing in Brazil country, the search that we have seen from the global pandemic, that March 2020 that all of us remember, towards July 2022. So the red line is co-working space, flexible space, serviced office environment, agile solutions, month-to-month office, things like that. So looking to the trend going up, it's not like dramatic exponential, nothing like that, but it's an upward trend.
Yeah, almost 10% is very, very good.
Yeah. And then look into the other one, which is espacio de escritorio, right? I don't know how to pronounce it in Portuguese. My apologies.
Office spaces.
Yeah, office space, exactly.
Traditional one, let's say.
Yeah. And we cannot be completely, we gotta be pragmatic. So, some of the space of the office space includes the co-working and vice versa, right? But it's just to give you some sense of what is on people's mind nowadays about when they are going to Google and searching for an office, okay? And this is the reason because of this, or what is behind, is because what you see on the right. So look, the traditional office market vacancy rates. Sao Paulo in 2 years had increased almost 10% in vacancy. So, which means that the traditional space is, not a trend anymore. Now it's becoming the flexible kind of space. I cannot tell you what exactly is. It's not exactly a co-working space. It might be something different. But what it is not, it's the long-term lease of 10 years, no flexibility. Now that is not going to work. So, and I'm sure that if there are colleagues here from the traditional real estate companies, they know that this is what the clients are asking. They're having a hard time to sell the solutions as they were selling them 2 years ago. Obviously, everyone is resetting, even the landlords and the brokers, about how can we, address this challenge that we are facing on the traditional industry.
Yeah, I just remember some material from the Instant group that I read some months ago, I think in the middle of the pandemic, talk about all the changes and the trends for the real estate market. And you guys told that the next years will be very different than the last 25 years, that you have a long lease terms and all this kind of things that are more traditional. Then because of the pandemic, we changed the way that people go to work. So you guys talk about like a pendulum, was in the middle, we gone here to be at home, never will come back to here, so we'll be in the middle, something like that. I just remember some material for you guys.
That was a publication we did some months ago, but it's exactly it. It's never going to be the same, and it requires the mind reset from everyone in the industry, including landlords, which are the most traditional ones. They want the security of the long-term agreement with a AAA company. But that AAA company is coming saying, I'm not going to sign anything beyond 2 years or something like that. And I'm not going to invest, $5 million in my office. So how we as advisors can provide a solution, that is the challenge.
Yeah, we saw some landlords here, like one of our sponsors here, Berry Properties, that creates some kind of buildings. He's a developer. He created something like the ground floor is amenities, most amenities, restaurants, stuff like that. Some floors are lower rise, is a price. The middle of the building is for it's a kind of co-working, but without a co-working company.
Right.
You can use it, pay per use, something like that. You have the high rise that is more expensive because of the view and everything. And the top of the building to events and a lot of things.
Correct. Yeah.
So I think it is the way that the landlords can do that, bring it more, transform the building to be more attractive to the companies come, spend less capital, because the landlords already provide the space with the flexibility we need, something like that.
That's correct, Renato. Yeah, I agree with that. So let me close out this with predictions for what is next in our mind. It's the last slide. So we as the slide says, we took inspiration from the model set out by an author of the book is called 7 Habits of the Highly Effective People. And we believe that those habits from Covey will help business remain agile and deliver the most effective and valuable approach, right? So the first one, be proactive. In the war of talent is winning, as I mentioned before. So anticipate what is coming. Employees will be looking for the flexibility and the work-life balance that probably right now they are enjoying. The next one is, begin with the end in mind. What is the workplace for? So the objective of the office, why we have an office. So the collaboration, company culture, social interaction, humor, camaraderie, that is the goal of the office space. Don't turn it into what it is not. Put first thing first. Agility is the primary driver in the workplace strategy for now. So quick changes might be needed. It's do something now, be ready to fail or be prepared to fail, but fail fast and switch into a different strategy. Whatever works, stick with it. Then win-win, think win-win. And what is best for society as a whole is best for the workplace in the future. And this is, win at all fronts. I think everyone can win in this. The employees in the balance that they will have with their, work life, companies because they will have, happier clients, and then employees, I mean, and then your clients, they will have, they will be better served. They will be, our employees will be more productive in their benefit. Next one is don't omit data. So seek first, understand, then be understood. Reach the knowledge gap. So why my space is being used this way and not the other way? So don't forget about the data that you might gather from your office about occupancy, about people, surveys, things like that might give you insights about how can you change and adapt the strategy. Synergize. Can the office market pull together to deliver a better experience? So we always, the experience is not only in the benefits or the satisfaction of the employee, is not only in the salary or in the benefits. It can be the office space as a benefit. So how can we consider that for the employee as a cool benefit that they are getting through their workspace or the real estate group? And then sharpen the saw. Individuals are upskilled and willing to go it alone. So, if they gotta go, it's the decision from people. If they want to go, they go. But it's not that they want to preserve everyone at all price. Decisions need to be made about cutting costs, cutting people, or bold decisions like leaving an office space that you have occupied for a long time. Then do it. If that's what you need to do. So, as a conclusion, now more than ever before, businesses are demanding more from the real estate. For the first time ever in many, years, companies, the real estate, the CRE or company real estate, have not sit in the board. For the first time, we are sitting at the board level. We are being challenged by people that we never thought we would be challenged, and they are asking from our roles to bring solutions, to bring agility, to bring flexibility. This was a challenge, and I speak from my experience as a real estate professional that our challenge is that I didn't see coming and nobody saw coming in March 2020. But here we are. Eyes are on our organizations to advise, to solve, and to deliver space. So thank you again for the invitation, Renato. Thank you for Corenet. And we have, I'm sorry, only about 2 minutes, but happy to answer any question.
Yeah, no problem, Luis. So first of all, just would like to say that because of this challenge, Corenet and also groups like the Instant Group is so important to consulting and to give great contents to our members here. And I just would like to know a little more how the Instant Group act here in Latin America. Can you tell about where you guys are based and how the people in Brazil can reach you guys, just to understand how can get your consulting more?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the question, Renato. So we do business with companies that have specific needs. It's rarely, particularly in Latin America, that we go and knock on doors about looking for, deploy a solution. We most of the times have clients that requires from us to, advise, solve, and deliver. We initially start with most of the companies acting as brokers of flexible space. And then based on that, we start questioning clients about, is this what you need? You might not need the 10 desks that you think. You might require only 5, or you might need 50. And part of our solutioning is based on questioning our client to help finding the solution. So in Latin America, we have presence in we operate with partners in most of the Latin American countries. I'm based in Miami. I have a small team in Argentina, and we can travel all across. So whenever you are in the need, let's jump into a call and let's discuss. So at the very first slide, there is my LinkedIn if anyone wants to connect.
That's great. So it's very interesting how a lot of companies have workplace people based in Argentina. That's amazing. A lot of them. I don't know why, but it's very interesting.
Yes. Great country, great talent there. Yeah.
Yeah. Another question that came to us here was how the digital can help to reduce the gap when you have a meeting between people that are, some people are remote, some people are in face-to-face. So I give you an example, I participate in some calls in the company, some projects, and I say, no, the meeting will be in, for instance, in Mexico. Okay, I need to go. No, you can connect you guys and stay like a nightmare, you know? You don't reach the people, you don't connect with them. So maybe the metaverse could be a solution for that, or you believe that the digital can make something easier to you sometimes that are remote and must be in the meeting, but it's not the best way.
I think it's a combination, Renato, of several things. One is making sure that the companies are investing right in technology, right? It's not only buying a license of Zoom or Google Meets or Teams. It's also providing the good quality. For instance, just as I'm speaking, I'm here in, remotely. I'm working from my parents' house in Mexico, and the lighting is terrible. You can barely see me in my screen. So obviously, I'm not using the right technology for this type of solutions. I'm limited, and this is the best I could do. But when companies think about this constant hybrid model of meetings and things like that, we should think about providing the right tools, making sure that we have mics, that we have headsets, that everyone knows that there is people remote. It's not only a physical meeting, it's also a remote meeting. It's a hybrid, right? So there is a lot of change management involved on that. Not only related to having a Zoom, a Zoom license.
Yeah. Another question that comes from my WhatsApp here is like, what is to your consulting, you guys consider the impact of the traffic? You have a kind of calculation to say, okay, big cities, big traffic like São Paulo, Mexico City, Bogota, cities with the high traffic. You guys consider in this calculation to understand if to reduce the number of seats in the office space. Like I live like 5 kilometers from my company headquarters, but sometimes the stuff go because of the traffic. The traffic is come back again here to São Paulo. So you guys consider some kind of a calculation on tricky based on the traffic or city or something like that?
Not to my mind, Renato, and I think there is a reason for that. When we talk about traffic, it's not only traffic what affects us, because there are cities that have incredible traffic. However, public transportation is effective. Yeah. But some other cities that have terrible traffic and no public transportation whatsoever. So then you have a very big problem, right? So for instance, let's say New York City. So New York City is a good example. Traffic is terrible. If nobody has a car, or because there are thousands of cars out there, so you're going to be stuck in traffic forever. However, the public transportation system works effectively. Obviously, Latin America, we are in a complete different situation, right? Like New York. But some of our cities have effective systems of transport, some, right? Especially if you're in downtown, some cities have subway that can take you to different points, not going through traffic. For instance, Argentina is one country in which every social level of income uses public transportation, compared to other countries in which only low income uses public transportation and everyone else has a car. So it would depend, on where are we talking, what city are we talking, to answer that question. There are more elements into it.
Also the country infrastructure for IT connection. You see some
correct.
Like we had some researches in some companies that say the people from Central America, small countries in Central America like Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Honduras, prefer to come back to the office, and not because they love it, but because the connections and the infrastructure is not good, right? Something like that.
They were having a lot of challenges, right? Yeah. The telecom infrastructure at the end user level is terrible. So they have calls that are dropping, and they cannot do video conference and things like that. So they need a space to go back. It shouldn't be, probably it's not the headquarters office or central office that they were occupying before, but it can be a co-working space that is nearby. Because that is a problem. Technology.
That's great, Luis. So just would like to say thank you to you and for all the audience here. Also, one question that come, if you can share the presentation that I can send to
people. Yes. Yeah.
Watching us, it will be great. And I really recommend it to anyone that see this video now or after that in the YouTube, that go to the Instant group and LinkedIn and see all the materials you guys put there are very good. I love it. It's a great material, a lot of good content, a lot of insights. Some of the haha moments I had regarding workspace come from these, like, man, this guy put something that was in my mind, but you guys put in a different way and different approach. So I love it, the material. So thank you so much to participate. I hope we can participate more here in the Corenet Global here in Brazil, and be in Brazil a little more present for the Instant group than nowadays. So thank you so much for your attention, my friend.
Thank you for your words, Renato. It was a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, so I turn in Portuguese a little, okay?
Sure.
Sorry. Pessoal, muito obrigado pela presença de vocês aqui no webinar. Ele vai estar disponível depois no nosso canal do YouTube. A gente vai cada vez mais trazer webinars focados em workplace, em facilities, em real estate, para trazer grande conteúdo para você, nosso associado. Obrigado e boa noite para todo mundo.